Hey guys, welcome back to Embraced by Life. This is Lisa, and I'm sharing with you all my journey, my husband's journey, and our dog buddy's journey to selling our home. We've already early retired, waiting to sell here, and our plans to move to Spain in November. So today I'm going to tell you a little bit about where we're at with the home sale, which has been dragging on since end of June. Where we're at with our NLV, non-lucrative visa for Spain. We have our appointment at the end of August, which is only a few weeks away. And then I'll talk a little bit about timelines for trying to gear up for your move to Spain, if that's something that you're doing, and how you can plan for a timeline, but that it's not a perfect process, and what you may run into along the way like we have, and to be prepared if any of you are looking to sell your home and move to Spain. This is just our experience and what we've been going through, and this is what we see as the real estate market right now in New Jersey. So like I said, we listed our home the end of June, and it is now August 6th, and we still are not in contract. As many of you know, and as I'm sure you're paying attention, the real estate market is starting to take a bit of a turn across many states and locations. Fortunately for us, in this area where we live, which is central New Jersey outside of Manhattan, there's still not a whole lot of inventory. There's still people looking for homes and making offers for houses. It's just slowed down, but people aren't desperately dropping prices yet. And I actually read an article this morning, even in Florida and Miami, people that had their homes listed, instead of dropping prices, they're pulling their homes off the market. So I'm not saying we're going to do that, but I'm saying, it's not that everybody's panicking and dropping prices just at this point in time. It's just a very interesting market, and it's interesting to see how things are playing out. So for us in central New Jersey, which I believe is probably still one of those areas that is a little bit behind in terms of seeing the slowdown. So it's starting to slow down, but it's not like other states. I believe North Carolina, Colorado, I've heard about Idaho, certainly Florida are slowing down, I believe, in terms of what I've heard, for people overbidding and outbidding, that people are starting to drop their prices a bit because there's a bit more supply, and demand's still there, but there's a bit more supply. People trying to sell off before prices go down. But also, Florida people are hanging tight there in Miami and actually pulling their houses off the market is what I heard. So I'll just speak to what we know here in New Jersey, and that's, what I can talk about today. But when I give some more details about our timeline for our visa process, it'll help paint the picture as to why we landed on listing the house the end of June. In retrospect, I wish we had a crystal ball. Certainly, in retrospect, we probably should have listed the house in early June at the latest. We just weren't ready. We were not sure that we would be, ready to sell that early, but we probably should have. It's one of those things that you're balancing. Like, do you sell really early when you think you can still sell fast and then find a place to rent and live while you're waiting to get your visa? Or do you, try to time it out, which is what we did, and we waited a little bit and tried to put our house on the market when we believed would be a better time for us to sell. And now here we are, kind of past the point of patience, and now we're getting a little bit, not panicky, but we're getting frustrated, right? We're getting very frustrated with the whole process. So here's what we've experienced. And we've sold homes before. I've told you in another video there that we've renovated some houses and bought and sold, and we've sold some homes that we've lived in previously, and certainly sold our home in Brooklyn to move here in New Jersey. But I've never had an experience like this. My husband Frank and I are trying to regroup today. We are trying to just get back to positivity, get back to focusing, and trying to bring back that good energy to get the right buyers to make the right offer. But we started out pretty good, to be honest. When we met with our real estate agent before we listed the house, they suggested that we list it lower. I did our own research and I said, well, we're not in a huge rush. We have a few months. Let's list it where we're comfortable. And then if we have to drop the price, we'll do that. And I'm still happy with that decision that we did that. And looking at the inventory of homes in the price range that ours is, there's not a whole lot out there. And I have been looking at other houses in the same price range as ours, and they're not dropping their prices either just yet. And they've actually also been on the market about the same amount of time. So there's a limited number of people, I think, looking for homes right now. Maybe nervous about the interest rates. I'm not sure. Or maybe we just came at the back end of people that were already finding homes to move into for the summer for their kids for school in September. So maybe the time to sell is really April, May, gearing up for September. I'm not sure. It feels like we kind of missed out on that, to be honest. And certainly here in August, it's feeling more and more so that we won't be getting those families unless they just couldn't find anything and they're still looking. So we got the big rush of people coming in when we first listed our home. And it was a good sign. Our real estate agent was worried that maybe we had overpriced it, but people were coming, they were interested. And we've put a lot of work. Frank's worked so hard on this house, and I've helped him put a lot of work into it. And we, try to take pride in our work, and it's really turnkey. So we wanted to, and this is our retirement. We don't want to sell ourselves short, and we want to try to do what we can for our family as we try to move to Spain. So that's kind of where we came into this whole process. And we had an offer, and they bailed before the final contract was finalized by the attorneys. And there was just something that they didn't like about the area, or it was outside, something with the area or the house or whatever outside, and they just pulled out of the contract. So that kind of upset us because, how serious were they really? And what happened was, by going into attorney review, people see that you're under attorney review and they're not coming to see your home because they think that you've got an offer that you're going to accept and get into contract for. We accepted the offer, but we didn't have the contract signed. So yeah, we lost like a week and a half there. And then we had other people come in and see the house, and it was a little flip-floppy with some folks. We had another offer that just didn't feel genuine. It didn't make sense what they were looking to offer and the terms and stuff. So it just seemed like they were trying their luck to see if they could buy the house for that under those terms. So we refused that offer. And then we're sitting here and haven't had another one since. So we don't regret standing our ground with that, and we certainly wish that the original offer had come to fruition and came true, but timing is just beyond our control. So we're still showing the home. The number of showings have dropped down a bit. Not one person coming in has said that it's overpriced, so that's great. And I feel like we've done so much research. We were very realistic with looking at comps and other houses in the neighborhood. And we're actually under, quite honestly, a little bit. And we're certainly under whatever the Zillow median price is. Agents will tell you don't pay attention to Zillow, but I've just compared what people have their prices listed at compared to what Zillow claims that the home's value is, the median home value within Zillow. And everyone's really listed them, slightly below the median, and that's where we are. And it seems very comparable. So I think we're fine there. It's just we need to be patient, and we need to understand the market's changing and not get desperate. But at the same time, we want to sell. We don't want to stay. So we won't be pulling our house off the market. We will be re-strategizing at some point, I guess, maybe after our consulate appointment, if we don't have an offer by then. But in the meantime, our days are just filled with, I'm cleaning the house, waiting for someone else to come, You've got 2 showings. I think we had 2 or 3 on Saturday, and then last minute cancel, and someone's coming late. They show up and they just, took a quick look and left. It wasn't really for them. The area, they wanted to be somewhere different within New Jersey, and so why are you coming here? I guess just to check out the neighborhood. But anyway, it does feel like a lot of wasted time, to be honest. I've never had a home that took this long to get into contract. But listen, these are new times. This is like a unique time to be selling a home, and yeah, I wish we had listed it a few months ago. Apparently, a few months ago, people were just overbidding within this range of our home that we're selling, and people were offering more, and there was a lot of buyers and less inventory. I think there was even less inventory than there is now, so that may have had something to do with it. And inventory goes up and down all the time, but people aren't dropping their prices here either, from what I'm seeing. And in fact, it comes in waves. So that's our experience. But yeah, it's super frustrating, and it's just, we've done everything to show this house really well, and everyone's giving good feedback. We love the house, it's awesome. And we have people that want to make offers, but they don't have their finances ready. They're not lined up. Oh, this is too fast, I'm not ready. So you also have uneducated buyers and people looking. So all right, I'll leave that there. Let's move on to the NLV, non-lucrative visa process. I'm going to do a whole separate video to get you guys up to date with where we're at and what I've pulled together over the past week. But just very briefly, I've got almost everything ready. We are getting excited about our appointment. I'm going to go onto Facebook, and there's some really great Facebook groups that you can do searches within the groups for the NLV visa in Facebook groups. And I'm going to look up more related specifically to the New York City consulate, and just make sure I've dotted every I, crossed every T, I've got everything ready. But we're feeling good about that, and so hopefully all of this lines up, and we're in a good place there. So that's where we're at with that process. I will talk now a little bit about the timeline. So if you are somebody who's just now thinking about moving to Spain, perhaps next year, the following year, my biggest piece of advice based on our experience is plan as much as you want and as great as you want. Have a timeline and plan, but please be aware that it is probably more often than not going to work the way you want it to. You have so many moving pieces involved in this move. It's not an easy process, and there's just so much going on. If you're selling your home, that's a whole, added layer. If you've already got your home sold, that's even better. Great. So you have less stuff to, organize from a timeline perspective. But for us, selling our home is a key component. Now, I mentioned before, why did we choose the end of June? Well, our original timeline, which we created over a year and a few months ago, was to start pulling our paperwork together in April, which we did. Have our home listed the beginning of May, have our NLV visa appointment end of May or by end of June at the latest, and to be moved to Spain in September or October. That's what we had planned. And we were right on track, and we actually engaged in a company to help us make sure that we had a list of all the paperwork that we needed. And I'm not saying not to do this, I'm just sharing my experience. But we did engage with a company to begin with. They gave us the full list of what we needed for the New York City consulate, and we were like, okay, this is cool. We had to do a lot of it ourselves. They weren't guiding us through every piece of paper that we had to have. But they, were looking at what we pulled together, making sure it satisfied what was needed, and we would upload it to their portal, and they would take a look, and they would tell us how to go get it or whatnot. So we basically started with that. We got all our paperwork together, and they were very clear. You need to have everything ready before you book your appointment with the consulate. So we were almost, done with having everything ready. This is middle of May, and I'm like, I'm just going to go ahead and book the appointment for end of May, June. Well, our appointment became the end of August. That was the earliest appointment. It threw everything up for us, and here we are. So we took a pause, decided to go to Spain. We had already our timeline to quit our jobs and retire early. So that we continued with, but we said, well, we've got extra time here, not realizing that by waiting to list our house, we might be screwing ourselves up a little bit there. So, yeah, I don't know what's better, to have your house sold early and have it done, have the price you want, and rent for a few months, or do what we did, was take time, decided to wait, and then here we are panicking, not sure if it's going to all work out. So that's what I wanted to share with you all, is plan what you can, but it's all going to work out the way it's intended. And we had to redo some of our visa paperwork because it was going to have expired by the time our appointment was in August. Yeah, so this stuff isn't perfect. It's frustrating. You have to have a tough mind. You have to stay focused and be ready for some stress and anxiety, honestly. So that's it for today. If you have any questions, throw me a comment and I will answer. And I wish you all a beautiful day, and I hope you're embracing life, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.